I believe that the reason I'm successful in life, forget about my business accomplishments, the way I deem my success in my life is I lack anxiety compared to the majority of humans on earth. I'm happy is completely and utterly in association to my relationship with losing. Because I was born in the Soviet Union and immigrated to the US and grew up with very little, because I grew up in the 80s in America where you went outside and you played, and which means you played games and you lost a lot. Because I grew up outside in the 80s in New Jersey, I also got into fights, because that's what we used to do. You would fight. Because I got bad grades. By the time I was 18 years old, I had done so much losing that I wasn't scared of it. Modern society so overcoddles everyone. Do you know that we give away 8th place trophies now? We have when people, today's world, where everyone's like, why is everyone so anxious? It's COVID, it's social media. No, it's not. It's modern parenting. The reason everyone's all bent out of shape is in what was good intent to making it good for our children. We created zoo animals who then have to go into the wild and get eaten by a lion in 1 minute. We've overcorrected. When you go to therapy, when you learn about life, when something's going on over here, humans tend to think the way to balance it is to go over here. That's how we've gotten to where we are. But the answer is to go here. The reason you got Garyvee is because my mother is a gangster. She parented me perfectly. She put things like me being kind to people on a pedestal, not getting straight A's. When I got out of line, there was consequences. Remember some of the older people in the audience? When you did something wrong, you would either get smacked, or if you got lucky, you got grounded for a week without video games, television, and friends. Today, there's not even grounding. So back to entrepreneurship, back to being resilient, back to being capable, you have to deal with adversity. I dealt with so much that after dealing with all that crap, all that, having every grown-up in my childhood, besides my mother, tell me I was gonna be a loser because I got D's and F's, between getting into fights and growing up in tough neighborhoods and going through all that, you think some random person on social media saying that I'm an idiot is gonna bother me?
Is it about shutting out the noise, obviously?
But it's shutting out the noise both ways. On the flip side, all those lovely things you said about me,
yeah,
I don't hear that either.
Don't you?
I sure don't. The reason that I'm capable of dealing with negativity is because I don't overvalue positivity either.
Yeah.
If you get high on the accolades and the cheering, you become vulnerable to the booing. So I'm aware that I'm good at business. So are lots of other people, and everyone I'm looking at and everyone that's listening is also good and great at other things too. So I'm appreciative, I'm humbled. It feels remarkable to be living the life I'm living, but I do not think I am better than.
So do you think that's the downfall of lots of successful people?
Yes. Money and fame and success don't change people, they expose them. And many people get to money, fame, and success fueled by insecurity. A smaller group, the fortunate ones, get there through gratitude. And that is how the game is played. Public CEOs need to stop worrying about just their pockets. If you really are educated about public companies and you're really into this, I can almost predict what most companies are gonna do based on my intuition of how much longer that CEO plans on being in their role. If I believe a CEO is looking to retire in 2 years, I know the next 2 years, the stock price is gonna go way up because they're gonna cut costs at all costs because they have 2 years to get it up as high as they can, and then they have another 6 months that they have to wait, and then they're gonna sell all their shares to buy their boat and their island and their jet and their life. And that usually means that's in direct contrast to actually growing the business because you're cutting costs, not investing in growth. right? So that's a public CEO, and I think some of them should care more about the legacy. If they spent those last 2 years building the crap out of the business, they might be able to hold on to the stock longer than the 6 months and actually get double the money by setting up the next CEO to let them keep going. But I get how human behavior works. I understand. They worked hard. They want to enjoy their last 15 years. Really nothing that happens in the world doesn't make sense to me. But I would say that's one thing. I think the other thing they should do is stop underestimating their competitors. I think there's a lot of delusion, meaning they shouldn't fixate on their competitors, but we live in a world where the speed and change is so high that even if you think you've got a moat, an advantage, it is vulnerable at all times because the speed of innovation is unparalleled. So just a little less naivete, like we're this, that's nice, but IBM was that and then Microsoft came along. And then Microsoft was that and then Google came along. And then Google was that and then Facebook came along. Like the biggest companies in the world always go out of business or decline.
But then I guess, we talked about money, making money, if that's the objective, and where some people I think value it or define your success on money, will that always drive businesses and drive what CEOs do and their main objective?
I think money is a very fascinating thing, and as a human being, I'm so grateful that I got lucky and parented well, and circumstances didn't allow me to put that thing on a pedestal. On the flip side, money is oxygen for business. I'm a pretty altruistic, foofy, let's all love each other guy, but if I can't make payroll, all my good ideas aren't gonna matter anyway. So I think that this one you have to be a little careful with. Do I believe a CEO, CFO's function is to make money? Yes, I do. Because you can't do anything if you don't. And I love business. It's like sports. Like, I wanna make money. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, like anything in life, when it gets out of balance, you're vulnerable. And I think the world has become incredibly red and incredibly blue, and I think all the magic is purple. There's a lot of purple in this room, which I like. I'm obsessed with purple.
Is it your favorite color?
My favorite color is green because of the New York Jets, but I've become incredibly fascinated with purple as the world has become incredibly fixated on being only either red or blue. And I think that's a big mistake. If I could wish anything on this audience or the one that's listening at home, besides health for them and their loved ones, it would be for them to get the clarity at this exact second that this is the piece of content that gave them the clarity that almost every decision that they make in life, definitely professionally, and predominantly, if not definitely in their personal life, should be to mitigate regret in their 80s and 90s. I think way too many people in this room have compromised being happy or going after a goal to check the box on paying a mortgage or being practical. When if they had the humility to take a step backwards, including things like selling a home to pay off the mortgage and keep the extra profit to go rent an apartment so that they could quit their job or change course and go at something that would bring them joy. Until the world redefines success in not materialistic things and money, but to being joyful and happy for as much of a percentage of their breathing time as possible, we will continue to make these missteps. And so the thing I would leave you all with is go spend more time with people that are 80 and 90 that are not your relatives and talk to them. And you will clearly see what I just talked about the last 2 minutes is the number one thing that you should focus on every day of your life.
And that goes back to fear for me.
It's all fear. And the tough one about taking a step back, like selling your home, and the only reason somebody doesn't do that, if they even realize to do it to get happy, is they're scared of the judgment from the people in their family or their friends. Oh, you're so not successful that you had to sell your house? Or you're so crazy you're gonna start this pie company when you have this great job and you're selling your home to do it, how could you do that to your children? When people don't realize houses are too big, and if you move into an apartment, you're more likely to spend more time with your children, it's even better. Do not convince courage or lack of fear with insanity. Do not, right? Like, to me, I have never done anything professionally. The first 12 years of my career, my dad paid me somewhere between $40,000 and $80,000 a year. I made very little money in the scheme of things to 34 years old. During that time, I almost bought nothing. I lived in a very uncomfortably, humbly apartment. I saved money making $50,000 a year. When you think about things like losing your house, like when I say sell your home and then go live in an apartment so that you can buy yourself 2 years of coverage to go start something, that's about regret. That's different than having some random idea and maxing your credit cards out. Like, there's frivolous and then there's strategic for your happiness. And so it's very nuanced and it has to be important. This is also why I tell everybody in their 20s, if you're 20 to 30, you should be doing nothing but high risk behavior. This is how the world has everything backwards. We tell kids that at 22, it's time to get serious. And they should have everything figured out. And you must go get a practical job. They're gonna live to 100. That is insane. From 22 to 30, every human on earth should live with 4 roommates in a shithole. Sorry.
I'll let you on.
Buy $1 bad food and go for every dream they have as hard as humanly possible. Now, if you're gonna be that kid and you're gonna go for your dream, pay attention to this next part. And you're not allowed to ask your parents for money. Your parents should not be the funder of your dream. You should. Because if your parents are, you will become an entitled loser. But if you do it, you will actually have the behaviors that may lead you to accomplish it. But if you don't, you will feel so good at 28, 29, 30 when you decide to go do something practical that you actually tried. A lot of us in this room, over 35, 40, didn't get this chance because the internet wasn't this internet. But the world we live in now, the most practical thing every 22 to 30-year-old should do is to go for it. But that's different than like, hey, I have a 3-year-old child. I've got this idea, it's gonna be the next Facebook. And you mortgage everything on this wild dream. There's too much delusion. That's very different than strategic, practical happiness reset. So just wanna make sure we have that calibrated. The thing that worked for us is we grew so fast that we didn't have ceilings at the same pace that most do. And then the other thing I did, I don't need to rekindle it, was I really went deep on the people. We're a 14-year-old company with 100 employees that have been there for over 10 years. That's insane, especially in ad land, you know, right? So the 2 things you need to focus on is spending so much time with the second, how many people do you have?
We're 2 of my team are that week 10 now, 11? Yeah.
Oh, you should have them all move in with you. Like,
Basically do.
I would say this, and this is like obviously with them there, but this is like real talk. You have to go into your head and decide which of the 10 to 11, hopefully for you all 10 or 11, realistically the way the world actually works, 4 or 5. Whoever the 4 to 5 you think are that you want to be with you in 6 years from today, you must completely change your behavior with them tonight. You must genuinely, actually, no bullshit, treat them like family, ask them the questions that are scary for small companies. You know, I've been through it, which is like, what drives you? Because when they're like money and you don't have it, you're like, uh-oh, like, you know, but you have to have those combos. And on the other side, you must at all costs focus on business development to get more business in, because those dollars are feeding the oxygen for the retention, because inevitably for so many of them, money is gonna be one of the variables, right? But inevitably out of 10 of them, 5 of them are gonna believe in you long-term so much that they'll be able to invest too. Just like so many of the people that work for me that are 10 years and longer, they made very little money. We were a smaller company, but they believed so much in me, and then they got rewarded on the other side of the rainbow, and I'm proud of that, and that builds that retention, and you're gonna have to have those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say for the power of personal branding, and kudos to you, we're 100% inbound because of all the stuff I learned from you, jab, right?
I'm proud of you. It's funny, the book that is coming next year, or this year, we're here now, I'm putting out Day Trading Attention. It was originally called Jab, 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 Left Hook. It's the update to that book because I got so much feedback like you're giving me now about that book that I decided to write the 2024 version. I'm really excited about it. And like, as you know, even in this short window, how to be great at social media content not only changes every year, it changes every month, it changes every week. And so, thank you for saying that, and I'm excited about the new book. Because I view my business life as playing games. I don't, to your point, if I viewed my life from the framework of it being the financial needs I needed to live my life and my lifestyle, I'd be done already. I just don't, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to ski. Like, I don't want to golf all day. I don't want to go to Saint-Tropez and be on a yacht and drink rosé. I don't like that, except for maybe 3 days a year. I want to build businesses. It's the game, it's the challenge. I professionally navigate my day-to-day the way every person right now, if they closed their eyes and thought about what they like to do the most for a day, whether it's ski, golf, yacht, cook, listen to music, watch movies, make music, like it is my favorite thing to do. It's why I got such poor grades. I was incapable to even get C's because I couldn't give up every second of my 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old self to not try to sell trading cards in the back of the classroom or daydream about things I would do for my dad's liquor store. Couldn't even give them a minute. So it's who I am.
It's like, did I take enough risk? Did I put myself out there enough?
You definitely didn't.
What's that?
You definitely did not.
Yeah.
Like, and here's how I know it. At least, again, one man's point of view, I'm not sure anybody is taking enough risk from 20 to 30. Yeah. It is the most interesting thing that I've been thinking about, which is it is never more practical to be disproportionately risky than from 22 to 30, yet everybody goes the other way because now they're the real world and it's time to prove something to their parents, to themselves, to everybody else, and everybody goes conservative. It is a huge mistake. We need to flip it upside down. Everybody should go ham from 22 to 30 and do a ton of ridiculous shit and figure themselves out. But on your own dime, not your parents.
There's the parents clapping.
So how I think about it is you should go and be rogue and get to know yourself and taste shit from 22 to 30, but you have to live by the ramifications of doing that. And the cost of entry of that is living with 4 people in a studio apartment, eating dog shit food, and not having fancy shit. So with the hustle thing, or where I'm at now, which is different than, the reason I'm gonna answer this twice is I'm about to give you advice, I'm about to give you insight to someone who has a large audience, and I'm aware that most people don't. Today it's easy. You know, when I said tonight I'll spend an hour, I will. Now, I may go into trending topics and read a trillion different like news outlets and look at my stream and see if there's anything happening. Or I might just spend, which happens way more often, the entire hour reading all my DMs. And in the DMs is where I got by the way, I had no feelings towards 8th place trophies 9 years ago. I really was indifferent, genuinely. I just didn't think it was a big deal until I read a million comments from 22 and 23 and 24-year-olds and got more insight to why so many people are so scared to fail and started to backtrack and have conversations. So today, my friend, to answer your question, it's because unlike the far majority of my contemporaries who are fortunate enough and earned enormously large audiences, I've doubled down on being close to them instead of the reverse. You know, most of the people that have made it from a following standpoint either gave up on reading the comments when it got too much, or never really did it in the first place. For me, it's how I got there. By the way, a lot of people don't know this. The real way the Garyvee thing happened was when Twitter came out and like started really hitting in 2007. I spent 10 hours a day on it talking to people every day. I actually spent 4 years straight not going to sleep until I replied to every tweet and every email I got from 2007 to 2011. So I got here this way, and so now it's easy for me to keep a pulse on it because it's coming to me. For everyone who's trying to build it, I still think the way to do it is to join into the conversation. Meaning, I think too many people think they need to consume it without participating. So going on X/Twitter, going into an Instagram post where there's content and then replying to 3 or 4 people that are replying to it, I don't think we network or engage or conversate enough. And now it's incredibly impossible because politics on both sides of the aisle both sell fear in different form. And now everyone's scared to talk to everyone because everything, and next year is gonna be a mess because everyone's gonna be on tilt because it's a presidential election and nobody wants to deal with all that negativity. You feel like you're not even sure you could say anything and it becomes something that people wanna fight about. And so it's really unfortunate.
My current dream is to go back to Ukraine after the war and be part of rebuilding the country's economy.
That's awesome.
And I really want to go into venture capital field.
Okay.
I currently do not have any real network in America because I came back to America after the war began, and I'm trying to expand my network at the moment.
Makes sense.
And I've been trying to do cold calling, emailing, LinkedIn messages, but I haven't been really getting a lot of replies. I was wondering if you have any advice to welcome you.
I have huge advice. So the issue with cold calling and cold emailing and LinkedIn is, and by the way, I'm a fan of it. But the problem is you're asking, right? This is a very simple game out here. It's a game of someone asks, and then there's the other person on the other side of it. And the other person on the other side of it, depending on how often they get asked, and depending on how they see the world, the likelihood of them reciprocating is quite low. So I'm a big believer of not being in a position where you're asking and don't have the leverage. I believe in the reverse, which is why I'm so passionate about content on the internet. You want to be a venture capitalist. Okay, I understand theoretically why, but the question is, do you have anything to provide in value, right? And so I believe the answer is yes to everyone, but I think you need to put that out there. Here's what I mean. If I'm you, I'm putting out content on LinkedIn about your point of view on how to invest in startups, what you see in startups, what you see in small businesses. I would do history work and look at the 2, 3, 4, 5 most recent examples of countries that are in post-war environments and how that ecosystem was built to build it back up, right? What happened in the former Yugoslavia after what happened in the mid-90s, and make content around your pattern recognition that you saw what happened in Serbia and Croatia post-war and how that worked over a 25-year window and how you see that playing out in the Ukraine. I promise you that if you had a thoughtful strategy like I just articulated to you, like I just talked about the former Yugoslavia, that you would catch people's attention if you posted 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Not to mention, you'd have something to put in your email when you're cold calling, right? And you're cold emailing. So for everyone in this room, I'm stunned by how many people leave it to chance and luck and referral. The reality is the ultimate referral right now is the ability to post content anywhere for free. It's free. LinkedIn doesn't charge you to post and get people to see it. So if I'm you, I go heavy on the attack. And don't be scared, because the issue is everyone thinks they have to be an expert. You just have to be an enthusiast. Let me say this slow, because this is huge. Most of you are not posting about something like this that you want because you realize internally you're not educated or you don't have strength in it. That's irrelevant. Meaning it'd be wonderful if you did. It's definitely good, but if you have the humility to communicate from a point of view of enthusiasm or subjective point of view or hypothesis, We've just taken so many words out. Everyone thinks they have to be an expert or a guru. That's silly. As a matter, when I started my business journey, it was, these are the things I felt naturally. Are they right? And over time that built. And so you can go with like, look, here's my truth. I'm from this place. Here's what I sense. And by the way, a lot of people will value that from being from that part of the world. There are tons of American businessmen and women who know that they don't have the context of the area, but might see the opportunity and may need a liaison or a decoder or a translator. So you don't have to act or fake the funk. You just need to tell your truth of what you see and what you know about your people. And I think you need to post that. Otherwise, you're reaching out to people that get, do you know how many cold emails I get a day? I have 3 full-time employees just to delete them. And I'm weird and answer some of them. And I like it. So, you know, I think the reality is you have to put yourself in a position. The way when I research tonight, I may hit up a random kid in Alberta because I like what she or he said about something I'm paying attention to. Put yourself in a position for them to come to you instead of asking them. I think the biggest thing that will have an impact on you being able to achieve what you want is you need to start right now, which is what every person in this auditorium wish they did at your age. You need to start in realizing the most important truth in the world, which is you need to figure out how to start loving yourself yesterday. You need to figure out my man, the world is gonna be very good at telling you what you're not good at. What you need to focus on is realizing that you're good at plenty of things. You might have not found them all, but that you're a good person and you have good intent, and you really have to work on that. And I promise you, especially at the age you're at right now, pay attention to the friends that you hang out with. You need to figure out if they make you feel good. And if they don't, even if they're the most popular or the coolest, you need to cut them out. If your friends do not make you feel good, they are not your friends. This goes back to what I just said earlier, like how people get there. Passion is one way. Like if you like it, this is the fucked up thing about the world. People don't want work ethic to be part of the equation. It's hard for people to accept the amount of hours it takes to build something meaningful in parenting, in business, in the world. It's daunting for many, but it is fully a part of it. And the way I think most people are able to achieve the work ethic to do something special is they like it, so it doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah.
It just,
so
you know,
when
so
you say that, I resonated with it because my wife was thinking, wouldn't it be too difficult for you to do 75 hard? And I'm on the other hand thinking, no, like that would be the, I really want to do that because I've noticed myself being disciplined with my diet and workouts. So yeah, so my question is, I was thinking about YouTube Shorts and the same thing on Instagram as well. And I wanted to use Hindi, the Indian
I know well.
language, because in India, like the masses, and they will be able to relate with me better. So even though I'm in the US, I was thinking I'll choose the food and everything, which
I think that's right.
So anything else apart from this that you would like me to try doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's why I'm writing the new book. It's best practices. I want you to think about your titles. I want you to think about your thumbnail. I want you to think about the first 3 seconds of your video. I want you to think about mixing English and Hindi in the same video. We see that Spanglish crushes.
Right.
So when people speak half Spanish, half English, you know, I want you to think about what time you post, the copy that you're using to support the post. This is a fucking science.
Right. So the platforms would be like YouTube Shorts, same thing on Instagram and TikTok?
You know, the reality is any platform can work. Do you know what, team, guess in the comments my fastest growing platform right now. And you know that these are all not like it's a small platform and like, you know, I only had 30 people and now I have 80 people. I'm at scale on all of them. What is my fastest growing platform?
LinkedIn.
So a lot of LinkedIn answers, TikTok. The answer to the question, and it's not even close, Facebook. Crushing. Gaining thousands and thousands of followers a week. Best practices, I'm using the default type, and we're putting quotes in with the default type posts, and like, it's just so fucking obvious that it's an everyday, this is why I'm writing the book, Day Trading. Vineet, the answer is whichever platform most works for you. Like I can't push all of you enough towards TikTok Live. I can't push you all enough towards YouTube. But meanwhile, like, it might be Facebook, it might be LinkedIn, it might be Twitter X. Like, all of you are gonna be better at certain platforms than others. Some come more native to each of us than others.
Right. So
Cam, I'm using, Cam just asked, I'm sorry, we need 1 second. Cam just asked, how am I using Facebook? I'm posting on my Facebook page. But because my team is constantly, we're constantly trying different things, you know, we try video and pictures and written word. I mean, written only is crushing. Written only. Literally transcribing words out of my mouth, typing them out, hitting post. So you gotta try different shit.
Okay, thanks, Gary.
By the way, look what, of course, my brother, look what Pack Leader Dog said. I post the same shit on all platforms currently, time issue. I totally get it. I'm thrilled that you realize that's not best practices. And he goes, and Facebook has grown most by far. You know why? There's still a trillion people. This is how day trading attention works. There's still millions of people on Facebook, but almost every contemporary modern creator is not making content on Facebook. Supply and demand. I mean, look, we started as a community management company. All we did for companies was reply to people on Facebook and Twitter. Now we're doing Super Bowl spots. So we've gone the whole gamut. We've gone from, even though we were called VaynerMedia, because I always knew we would do media, it took us 6 years before we started doing media. You know, we didn't spend a media dollar in the first 6 years of this company. We did community management, then we did content for social. Then we started doing, you know, billboards and television commercials and Super Bowl and all that. But ironically, you're catching us at a time where we're more committed to social media creative, probably since the beginning of the company. And so it's changed a lot, you know, going from 30, 40, you know, 0 to 10 to 30 to 50, 25-year-olds run by, at the time, a 37-year-old, to a company that has 2,000 people globally. You know, we have more people in Asia and Europe than this company had in the first 6 years of its existence. So a lot's changed, but the ethos of employee first, what we call the honey empire, you know, honey over vinegar when we interact with each other, but let's build an empire. Practical optimism, these themes, they still ring true. And in the last 2 years, I've doubled down on the company for it to ring even more true. So we're excited about that.
What do you see on the horizon that others may not?
You know, I think what I'm historically good at is emerging talent, platform arbitrage opportunities, live streaming. Like, I'm on Twitch live right now. Twitch, what's good? You know, just thinking about things like what I call day trading attention. I think on a day-to-day basis, I'm trying to understand what's happening in pop culture, corduroy hats. Ja Morant came back last night and played basketball. Anthony Edwards has a signature sneaker that's hot. Get ready with me, makeup trends continue to explode. You know, Pinterest as a business is doing a lot better. What will that mean? Snapchat discovery is untapped territory for people to get bigger on. YouTube Shorts, underestimated. Facebook organic reach on Reels for 21 to 40-year-olds, unbelievably huge. No one thinks about it. So I think a lot about platform and culture stuff. And so I think that's where I'm good at. The rise of AI audio. So like the Alexa doing things for you, I think is gonna be massive. You know, so just a lot of things I'm thinking about. You know, VR and AR on the horizon within a decade. Many things I'll be able to catch a little bit before because I spend a lot of time thinking about them. Most people think about what can they make money on now. And I think about it as what's gonna happen that's gonna change that and create opportunity for growing a business. And so there's a big paying attention to tomorrow, but not over investing on tomorrow until it's time. And so it's like living for today, but keeping an eye on tomorrow and not putting yesterday on a pedestal. I'm aware that, you know, television commercials worked for, you know, BMW 17 years ago, but it's not 17 years ago, you know. 17 years ago, Madonna was the biggest pop star. You know, I don't know what to tell you, like shit changes. I don't know if you've heard this, the reason AJ left VaynerMedia to start Vayner Sports with me was because he was too stressed doing VaynerMedia. It was too much HR, he didn't like it, and so he wanted to do something he liked, and that's how Vayner Sports got born.
Oh wow, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool. Tomorrow is Shiv's birthday, and he couldn't be on the call today, so I wanted to present him this question. Why is Shiv not rich yet? Let me rephrase. So I guess people that put in, let's say, $1 million in VFriends, they're like, well, fuck, the market is booming. Even the NFTs are crushing it. And we understand the long-term vision, but I want to be able to buy a car or a house.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on?
Look, I think, everybody's got a different strategy of how they want to build their projects. And obviously, Shiv, you, anybody else, you can imagine it's an undercurrent every day, but I feel very confident in the way I'm building this brand. And obviously, when you want to create demand for a digital collectible, I saw your comment yesterday of less users. I think about this every day. I read everything. I feel very confident in the bricks that I'm putting down. And I think every IP, and whether it's artist or intellectual property, are going to have different news cycles and different moments in time. And I'm incredibly scared to compromise the way I'm building this brand, and feel very confident the way that I'm doing it. And obviously, I stress if Shiv's upset or you're upset or anybody who's upset, and I work on it daily, but I can only navigate the IP and the demand creation the way that I see fit. And I think it's incredibly challenging to predict market dynamics. It is my responsibility to create affinity, which will create demand, and I feel like I'm on that journey. But predicting the market's moments and things of that nature, I think there's a lot of things that go into different pricing and a lot of different ways to play it, and I'm playing it the best that I can.